In the latest episode of Hack My Growth, we're going to be taking a look at 3 awesome AI-driven SEO tools that can help you beat your competition and honestly scale a whole lot faster. Hey, thanks for checking out this video. If you like what you see, maybe you've been hanging out for a while and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so now. We create new content to help you each and every week grow your business online. As I said in the opener, we're going to be talking about 3 AI-driven SEO tools. Tools that we can use to not only beat our competition, but scale our work and work smarter, not harder. All right, so we're going to look at 3 AI-driven SEO tools that can help you beat your competition. These are tools that we use all the time here at our agency. I love these tools. I use them personally myself, not just my team, but I use these tools on an ongoing basis as well. So I'm going to walk you through the pros and cons of them and then some ways that you can actually leverage these tools. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about why we should be leveraging AI, artificial intelligence, for SEO. Now, artificial intelligence is great for tasks that are repeatable and time consuming. Over the last few years, AI has made major strides in helping us speed up these types of repetitive tasks, these tasks that you do over and over and over. So if you're crunched for time, maybe you're a smaller team, even if you're on a large team, why not leverage a tool that's going to make your life easier? So a lot of times AI can actually perform these types of tasks better than we can because it doesn't get bored. It's a computer, it's a machine, and we don't have to worry about it, getting bored in the middle of one of these repetitive tasks, where we kind of take our focus off. Now, it's important to note that AI is not going to solve all your problems. Don't fall in this trap thinking that computers can just do everything for you and you can just coast. AI works best when it works in connection with a human. So we have to guide this technology. We have to guide these tools in order to get the results that we're looking for. One of the old sayings when it comes to data and analytics and making these types of decisions is garbage in, garbage out. If you don't direct your tools correctly and you don't set them up correctly and you don't guide them correctly, you're going to get less than stellar results. All right, so now we know that AI is pretty powerful, can help us do these repetitive tasks, and we also know that it can't solve everything, but how can it speed up our workflow? And what are some of these tools that we can use in order to really take our SEO strategy to another level? Well, the first tool we're going to look at is Phrase.io, and it's an end-to-end SEO content creation workflow powered by AI. This is directly from their website. So you get your content idea, you get your SEO results, and you get to optimize all this stuff before you post it. Now, some of the things I really like about Phrase is that it's super easy to use. Almost our entire team uses it. Everybody on our content team uses it. It's got really good data as well. It does a good job of looking at the types of topics and the types of it does a great job of looking at the data behind the SERPs, helping us to understand what is contributing to possibly that page ranking. And also really allows us to collaborate easily. We can share these links with our clients and their writing teams if they have one, or our clients, and they can give us feedback right within the document, and it makes life super easy. Now, one of the areas that I think Phrase is not my favorite yet is their AI content generation. This is an area that they're growing in, so I've put it's not great yet. There are some really cool things that it can do, but for me, I really like it when it comes to creating these work briefs, creating this SEO content workflow, and allowing our team to collaborate together. So let's take a quick look at Phrase.io, how we leverage this tool, and some ways that you might be able to use it as well. So Phrase has a number of really cool features within it. The one that we use the most would be the document side of things. You also have templates, you've got outline builders, you've got content analytics, it even has an AI. You even have this tool down here, which is Phrase Answers, which is actually like a searchable widget on your website or an AI bot that will actually deliver specific content from your website to your users when they're asking questions. So Phrase does a lot of really cool things, but specifically what we leverage Phrase for would be in our document optimization and creation. So when we're doing that, we typically start with a new document. Now we can either create new content around a specific query, or we can optimize existing content. So let's look at both of those options. If we're creating a new piece of content, let's say I wanted to create a new piece of content for a simplified search, and I wanted to do it around mastering structured data. Let's just say I wanted to create an article that I could push people then to this specific course. I would go over to Phrase and I would type in my target keyword. It's got a foldering section, which I really like. Since we're an agency, I can actually simplify where everything is and I don't have to look around and figure out who's working on what and which folder it should be in. So I really do like that feature. It's actually probably one of my favorite features and has nothing to do with AI. Then you go ahead and hit Create Document. Now what Phrase is doing is it's looking at the SERPs, it's looking at this keyword, it's looking at all the pages that are currently ranking for this keyword, and it's going to start to give me some ideas and suggestions. Now, as you can see, it's got a couple of different tabs here at the top. One's called the content brief and one's called my content. You can add as many tabs as you want, and all of these writing tools are going to be added in here. Typically, we use the content brief when it comes to a new piece of content, and then you can go ahead and add that content in here or import it from a specific page. That's what my content would be used for. So as you can see over here on this side, and as we zoom into this a little bit, we can see that Phrase has done some pretty cool things. The first thing it's done is it's told me the average word count for the results and the pages that are ranking. It's told me how many headers on average are showing up, how many links, how many images, and the average domain authority and backlinks. I can scroll down here and I can see some of the pages that are ranking for this. And without a shadow of a doubt, it's exactly what I thought would show up here. Would be Mastering Structured Data on the Semantic Web, an awesome book. If you haven't read that and you're interested in structured data, I highly recommend it. I talk about it in my course as well. As you can see here, it's talking about this book. So is A Press, which is who the book is published by. And a lot of this book, a lot of this SERP right here is actually talking about this specific book. And there you go. We actually have our Learn.Simplified Search course as well, which has this specific title. So I can start to see the outlines. And let's say I wanted to create a piece of content, I could leverage some of what I'm seeing over here to help me do that. I also have these workflows which are given to me. So I can automate a content brief. I can insert SERP data. I can give you the topics or the clusters or the headings or the questions. Or I can optimize from a URL. So if I click Automate Content Brief, it's going to give me some selections. Let's say I just want to put all of this data in here. Headers, questions. I want to see links. I want to see it all. And you can do a few things with this data, which is pretty cool. So Phrase went ahead, it scraped the search results, it got all this really awesome data for me, and now it's put it into a content brief. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out. I've got this really cool structured content brief that I can either use myself to create a piece of content or send to my writer. And I can say, hey, here are the pages that are ranking, and this is what they're talking about. We need to target somewhere around 700 to 750 words, and let's try to structure it a little bit better because they only have 2 headings. We could probably structure it a little bit better. As I go down here, I can see some really cool things about topic clusters. Now, as we've talked a lot about on this channel when it comes to semantic search, when it comes to the future of search, Google is looking at topics and understanding intent around those topics. So what Phrase has done is it's extracted these topics and it said, okay, here's customers. Here's a high-level topic customer, and here's all the long tail related terms around that we found within the content that is ranking for this specific query. Here it is with search and format, mastering structured data, some of the things we need to talk about, Google, applications, semantic video annotations, and more. That's a ton of great data. And then they just give us a long list of 20 other topics that I can also look at and dive into. As I scroll down, it gives me some examples of some of the headers that we could possibly use, and then some of the questions that we can answer within our content. Now, as you can see, it's actually extracting some of the questions directly from my site. Phrase gets it from a number of areas. If we go up here to this top panel again, I can see questions, and I can look at the SERP results. I can look at people also asked for. I can look at Quora, and I can look at Reddit. And if I've got specific questions in there, it'll actually pull them for me, which is really awesome. So all of this was done with automation, right? I went in there, I gave it a specific keyword, I told it what I was looking for, and then I allowed Phrase to help me build out this content brief now I can use to go create a great piece of content. So as I said before, Phrase does have a content generator. So let's say you wanted to work on a piece of content. You actually could use some of its AI writing tools. Up here it says AI Writer, and there's things like AI Write for Me, AI Templates, Smart List, Transitions, all of that. If I click Write for Me, I need to go over here and I need to give it some context. So this is where I say that AI cannot do everything for you. You have to help it out. So when it comes to creating content, you need to give some input. And as we said in that other slide, garbage in, garbage out. So I could actually come over here and let's say I just want to take this intro here as the content I want to feed into Phrase. I can tell it how long I want it to be and how creative I want it to be, and then just hit Write for Me. Phrase is going to do its best to start creating content for me. And as you can see, it's starting to create a paragraph around what I just talked about. It's talking a lot about SEO and user experience. This isn't exactly what I was talking about when it came to structured data. It's actually talking more about UX and mobile friendliness. While this content is pretty decent, it's not terrible, It's not something that I would really probably work with in this piece because it's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about user experience. I'm talking about structured data. I'm talking about something a little different. So phrase is pretty good. As you look at the content, it's not bad, but it's not necessarily my favorite. What is also though cool with this, and I think it's getting better at, is creating transitions. So let's say you're writing your own content and you needed a transition. Sometimes it's hard for us to go from one to another. You can use a transition like in addition. And phrase will actually help you try to create a natural transition from one thought to another, which is pretty cool. So if you're trying to create a piece of content, you're getting writer's block, you could definitely leverage this tool. Now, again, these tools cannot do everything for you. You shouldn't just let it write this content and then run with it. You need to make sure that this is kind of your outline, your starter point, and then you go back in and rework this content. I think the phrase tool is going to get better as they keep training it more and more and their users use it more and more. It's just going to get better as the more the AI actually learns. And there are some really cool options right within this specific tool. So we showed you the content brief, we showed you a little bit about the AI writer. Phrase has a lot of other tools that you can explore, and I highly recommend you checking this tool out. It's totally worth paying for a membership if you don't have one. And it's one of the best tools out there when it comes to structuring your content. Now, the last part of phrase, which is really awesome, is helping you optimize content you already have. So we've talked about how to get started with a new piece of content. Let's talk about how we can leverage phrase for optimizing content we already have on our site. So like before, we can go to the documents section. And this time we're actually going to click optimize existing content. So for instance, we went to the blog, we could actually look at this specific URL and let's find a way to better optimize it. Copy that URL, paste it into phrase, and then the target keyword, we'll want to add that in as well. In this case, let's just go ahead and add this entire query because it's more of like a long tail piece anyways. As you can see, phrase has given us a preview and it's saying, hey, is this the page that you're thinking about? And I can say, yep, this looks right, and hit confirm and import. Now, phrase is doing the same things that it did before when we were talking about content creation. As you notice over here, now we're in the My Content tab, not the Content Brief tab. This is still empty. So if we look at this, you notice that the panel over here on the right-hand side is also changed. And phrase is actually giving me a score. It's saying I'm 51% when it comes to how optimized this piece is compared with the average, which is 55.9 if we were going to look at the competitors. I can actually pull this long tail down. I can look at SERP scores, and I can say, all right, this page right here from SEMrush ranking 2, it's more than 100%. Moz is at 100%, it's ranking 7. Search Engine Journal at 97. Ahrefs number 1, they're at 92. So if I really want to rank well for this page, I need to make sure that this topic score is as strong as possible. But again, how do I know what type of topics I need to add? How do I make this better? Well, if I go to the top here again, I can look at the top topics and I can see how I compare. All right, I've got a lot of terms. I use the term searches quite a bit. I might want to scale that back a little bit. Content, I need to use Google more. I need to use keywords more. I need to use the term topic more. I should use updates. It's starting to tell me these terms and topics and themes that I need to add within my content. So let's say I want to use the term Google more. I would actually look for ways to maybe find the term search engine or something like that, and then find a way to work in the term Google. I like to use just a find tool, and I can go Google. All right, there we go. We've used it twice. So now let's go search. And now we can start to look at it. Today's search engines, like Google search, are driven by semantic search. Now you notice now that my score went up a little bit, I've got 3 out of 15 instead of 2. Now you want to make sure that this is natural, you want to work this in, and you want to use the knowledge that you've gained over here to make this content more accessible to the search engines as well as clear to the readers. Another thing that you can leverage is the top results again. And look at the headers. Now as you can see, I've got a number of headers in this piece of content, but maybe I've missed something. Maybe I haven't talked about something. Many searches are unintentionally ambiguous. Maybe I can cover something like that right here within this section. So I can actually take this and I can click on this little button here, and phrase will pop it right in here for me, which is pretty cool. And here's something else that you can do. If I use this little robot icon, phrase will also put this in, and it'll start creating a little bit of a context for that little section. So these are some awesome things that phrase can do to help me make my content better, to increase my content's topic score, which is a score that Phrase has, but they're analyzing the top search results and helping me see how semantically relevant my content is to the search results. So this is a wrap up of looking at Phrase. Like I said, there's more that this tool can do, but this is how we leverage the AI functions within Phrase in order to create better content that in return helps improve our search rankings. The next tool we're going to look at is Jarvis from Conversion AI. Now, Jarvis is a really, really good AI writer and is trained to generate original content. So a lot of AI generators, they use what's called extractive generation. So they look at pieces of content and they extract a number of sentences and then they put them together and rearrange them to form a new concept or a new sentence. But it hasn't actually written unique content. It's just taking content that's already out there and rearranging it to make it a little bit more unique. Well, Jarvis does something called abstraction. And so it actually creates original content with the help of AI. Now they've trained this AI on a ton of content, specifically around SEO, direct marketing, things of that nature, in order to build a tool that really helps you scale your content. So some of the benefits of Jarvis is the content creation aspect. As far as the AI content writers, this, in my opinion, is the best one out there. We use it all the time. It's one of my favorite tools. And it also has a lot of really cool templates that you can use to help you scale your efforts. Some of the cons, if you want to really get the most out of this tool, you do need to upgrade to the highest level. So that way you can get what's called boss mode. So there's a little bit more of a price point there, but it's still extremely affordable. So most of these cons that I have for any of these tools, they're very minor cons. And the last one, there is a bit of a learning curve. Like anything else, what you put in is what you're going to get out. So we need to create content. So we need to make sure that we're leveraging the AI and using it to our advantage. So let's take a look at Jarvis from Conversion AI. All right, so I've logged into Jarvis, and as you can see here, we've got a lot of templates. Probably the most popular one, the one that we like the most, and the one that you're going to need to have a pro edition of Jarvis to use is the long form content assistant. This is going to allow you to write long form articles from start to finish. Very cool. But it's got a lot of other cool frameworks and templates as well. You can do blog post outlines. You can do conclusion paragraphs. You can write creative stories. It can even help you with your ad text and your ad type. It's going to allow you to do website headlines, Amazon products, and more. I mean, this is really cool. A really cool feature as well is explain it to a child. So take something really complicated and allow AI to help you rephrase it to make it easier to understand. So if you're in a technical space, very cool feature that we actually use quite a bit for some of our technical clients. So it does a lot of cool things here. And as you can tell, there's tons and tons of options. Text Summarizer is another really cool one. What I like about this is I've built some of these with Google Colab with my very minimal knowledge of Python, but doing some copy and pasting and building some of these cool summarizers or content generators. And Jarvis allows us to do this at scale. It allows my team to actually use these types of tools without having to go into a Colab file and have to worry about all the extra code around them. They can just go in this tool and they can start leveraging it to do some cool things. So just like all the other tools, you can put it in different folders, which I highly like as well. But you just pick the one you want to use and you start from there. So you can do two things. You can start from scratch or you can use the blog post workflow. I really like the blog post workflow. It makes everything really easy. So we're going to use the same type of thing that we did before with Phrase, and I'm going to show you the difference between the two types of content. So just like Phrase, we need to give it an input. We need to tell it what we want to rank for. And then you also want to give it some keywords. This is going to help it understand what you're talking about. So I'm going to put in, schema.org, hit enter. I'm going to talk about SERP features. And of course, I want this to be about mastering structured data. And hit continue. Now I can either write my own headline or I can let Jarvis pick one for me. I like to see what they come up with. Even if I have one in mind, I still like to see what Jarvis is going to come up with. It takes a few seconds, and as you can see here, we've got some pretty cool headlines to work through. How to rank for search results with structured data. How to rank on all types of organic search results. How to use structured data in schema.org to better. I actually like this first one. It's pretty good. Let's use that one. And again, I can write my own intro paragraph, or I can let Jarvis write one for me. So after a few seconds, it's going to spit out a number of paragraph intros, and I can look at these and find the one that makes the most sense. Now, if you remember, when I was doing this with Phrase, it started talking about SEO, and it started talking about UX specifically. If we look at the content that we're getting from Jarvis right now, you can see that this is very specific to structured data and schema.org. And that's exactly what I was trying to write about before. So as you can see, there's still a difference between the two types of tools, and this is the main reason that we leverage Jarvis and their AI to help us create our content. Now, once I've set all this up, I can go ahead and open the editor. Now again, these tools are not meant to replace writers completely. These tools are to help writers, especially teams that have large writing teams that need to create a lot of content for a lot of clients or a lot of content for your company fast. And honestly, sometimes it's hard to write new content. It's hard to write content that's one, good, that users want to read, that's actually helpful, and that's going to help you get your goals. And so that's what these tools are really, really good at. Now, if you want to get the most out of this tool, I highly recommend that you upgrade to the version that has boss mode. Down here in the corner, it gives me some pro tips. And as you can see here, it says boss mode cheat sheet. There's a number of cool commands that are built into Jarvis that you can use. So I could do a couple of things. I could either go right here and I could say compose, or I can hit my, Command J. It's the same deal. And it'll start writing. Just like that. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, but it's going to start writing. And some of this content actually is pretty good. And I can keep hitting command, and I can keep letting it write this content all the way down. Now, with a type of content like this, structured data, where I want something very specific, I probably need to give it some insight. And this is actually where we pair up Phrase and Jarvis together when it comes to our strategy. We use Phrase to build our content briefs and structure our content. We bring it over here to Conversion AI, and then we actually generate the content, and then we have our writers come in and tweak it, adjust it, give a human tone of voice to it, and so on and so forth. But let's say I wanted to just get an outline for a blog article. Well, I could take this command right here and take this outline, copy it, I can paste it right in here. I can take my title right here, and now I'm going to run the command. I've actually told Jarvis now, I don't want you to write the whole content, I just want you to create the outline for me. And as you can see here, that's exactly what Jarvis is trying to do for me. And we've got a pretty good outline that now we can go and create the content around. Look at this. I mean, this is one of the coolest tools ever. And so we can now take these and we can structure them. Now, if you make a heading up here, Jarvis is smart enough to know, oh, that's a header, so I need to write content around that specific section. So for instance, if I go ahead and take what is schema.org here and I make it an H2, now when I write this, the next paragraph should be about schema.org. There it is. Very awesome. So as you can see, once we give it the right inputs and we structure our content the right way, this tool, Jarvis AI, can do amazing work to help us scale our content faster. When you're a smaller team or you've got a lot of writing to do and you need somebody to help you to structure it and honestly get good information, this tool is great. We work with a lot of technical clients. Our writers aren't all coming from technical backgrounds. So Jarvis is really helpful. We can use that information that this AI is scraping and understanding to help give us a good outline so we can create good content for our clients that have a technical audience. Highly recommend this tool if you need to create content, you need to create content fast. So the last tool we're going to look at is WordLift. And we've talked about WordLift a couple times on this channel. We did a full review of the tool, but WordLift continues to grow as well. They've got a number of new AI features that are extremely beneficial and they help you scale fast. And this tool is great if you want to leverage things like structured data, you want to incorporate your business into a knowledge graph and get more out of your content. The pros, it's really easy to use, it's super scalable, and it's a huge time saver. You're not having to write all this JSON LD and do all this extra research. The cons, there is a little bit of a learning curve for some people. It's a little bit intimidating when you're trying to figure out what an entity is, and it doesn't really make sense when you get started. And some of the advanced features do require additional setup, not on your behalf, but sometimes you have to reach out and have them help you do that. But again, these are very minimal cons. One thing I want to mention, we work a lot with WordLift. We use them all the time. And I was able to get anybody here who wants to try WordLift out to get 15% off their annual starter just by going to the URL below, wordlift.io/Ryan Shelley. And that's going to get you a quick discount there. All right, let's take a look at WordLift. So WordLift is a tool that you actually install into your website. You can either do this through a WordPress plugin or there is a cloud installation, which then has a WordPress app that allows you to do the same functionality with a non-WordPress site. WordLift has a number of different features that allow you to scale. And if you check out their website and go to how it works, these are some of the things that it does. It does text analysis, helps you tag your content, helps you build entities and add those to your website. It helps you to make your content better, to add in more precise, openly licensed images, geolocation, timelines, and more. It's really one of those tools that is going to enrich your content with that meaningful data that Google needs to really understand context. So in the back end, WordLift will just be a plugin. It'll sit under here. And it has a number of other additional plugins that you can leverage as well, like schema types, where you can literally mark up any type of schema.org markup on your website. But how it's mostly used when people are getting started would be content and entity tagging. When you're in the editing section of your WordPress blog, you'll see a little button up here with the WordLift W. Go ahead and click on that. You can see WordLift going to work. So WordLift is using NER, name entity recognition, and it's looking at your content and it's saying, these are semantically related entities that you need to add into your text. And to add them to your text, you just click on them. That's all you do. You would just find these and you would click. And that's how they would be highlighted and implemented into this page. Now what it's doing is it's injecting structured data into this page. It's doing all this for you without you having to write a single piece of code. So it's pretty awesome, and it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. It also has the ability to auto scale the schema.org video feature as well. The one thing you need to do is make sure you have a YouTube API, and once you have that connected, it'll actually go ahead and read this and be able to do that for you as well. So it's going to allow you to automate your thing markup or your contextual markup. It's going to allow you to automate your video markup, which is going to save a lot of time and energy, and it can do a few other things as well. If we go back over here to the settings, we can also declare an entity type for this specific page. In this case, this is an article, so we want it to be an article. But I could also, with the schema.org's add-on, I could make this, let's say it's a service page. I could add service markup to it. Let's say it's an author page or a person page. I can add that type of markup to it. All the different schema.org properties are available here, and with simply a click of a button, I can start adding this to my page. So if we look over at another page, this is a page about myself. This is an about page, right? And so in this case, I have a schema.org person type. If I scroll down, it's got all the schema.org person type information that I want to add. I just type it into this box and I hit update, and I've got my markup added to this page. WordLift makes adding structured data simple, easy, and quick. And now you can scale it even faster with the new feature that is associated with the tag or category section of WordPress. All right, so to show you this feature, I jumped over to another site. And what's really cool about this feature with WordLift is that it really allows you to bulk add structured data to a number of your blog posts. So you can go into either a category or tag and you click edit. What WordLift is going to be able to do is allow you to attach or bind an entity to this specific term. So I can actually look here at my knowledge graph or the linked open web, and I can go B2B and business to business. So as you can see here, I can even get more granular. Like maybe there is a business to business sales entity out there. I can create that. So there isn't, but B2B makes quite a bit of sense because that's what these topics are about. And now I can add this in. What this is going to do to every single piece of content that has B2B sales tagged into it, it will now also add the business to business entity as well. So right now when I hit update, I've just added structured data to 15 new pieces of content, and I did that with a couple of clicks. As you can see, this really allows you to scale your structured data efforts quicker and allows you to get more out of the content you already have by adding in that rich data. WordLift is a powerful tool, and like I said, if you want to try this out or get access to it and start leveraging it with your site, you can get 15% off just going to wordlift.io/Ryan Shelley. So to close things up, I did end with WordLift and talking about structured data and the importance of it. We've talked a little bit about it in this video, even though we were talking about AI and AI generated tools. I want to offer you a 25% discount to our structured data course, Mastering Structured Data. We talk about how you can leverage this amazing SEO technique to get more out of the web. Structured data helps inform Google's AI into what your site is actually about and helps your content get placed better when it comes to the search results and SERP features. If you got any questions about what we talked about today, or you want to know a little bit more about structured data or any one of these tools, please comment below. We'd love to continue that conversation with you. And until next time, happy marketing.